My parents said they couldn't spare a cent for me, so I worked myself to exhaustion and collapsed at work. Later, I found out they had been sending money to my sister every month so she could live comfortably. I'm 19 years old and have recently started studying medicine in New York City. I'm originally from Texas. My parents live in Dallas, where my father is a surgeon at a university hospital and my mother takes care of our home. After graduating from high school, I moved to New York 4 months ago to live on my own. I worked hard and was accepted to medical school in July, inspired by my father, but I haven't been able to enjoy the traditional college experience. I wanted to make friends, join clubs, and have fun, but money was limited. My parents pay my tuition, but I am responsible for all of my other bills. Aside from classes, I've worked as a tutor, event worker, and bartender. Even with these jobs, it has been difficult to cover rent and living expenses each month. I frequently transfer jobs to accommodate my schedule and work primarily on weekends. It's been challenging both psychologically and physically. I am sleepy in class, and when I get home late, I struggle to find the motivation to study. I'm scared I'll have to redo the year because I'm slipping behind in my academics. If things continue like this, I won't be able to concentrate on my studies, which are supposed to be my first priority. I was anxious and desperate. So I called my mother and asked for some financial assistance, even if it was only a little. My father is rarely home due to his busy profession. Therefore, my mother handles the cash. Even though my father earns a fair living, my mother stated that they did not have any extra money and that paying for my tuition was already difficult, so they were unable to send me any further money. With that response, I felt stuck. Most of my acquaintances who live alone have financial assistance from their parents, and I envy them. But I resolved to continue working hard at my career. Growing up, there were always differences between myself and my sister Isolde. She is currently 21 years old and studies fashion design at a prominent school in Paris. While I was always required to work hard and earn my achievements, Isolde seemed to have everything easier. Mom always referred to her as my golden sister, the one who had a particular touch and was destined for greatness. Don't get me wrong, I like my sister, but the disparity in how we were treated was difficult to overlook. When we were younger, between the ages of 10 and 12, I had all A's on my report card. Mom took a look at it and said, "That's what we expect from you, Kale." The same day, Isolde brought home mostly B's with a couple of C's, and Mom threw her a modest celebration praising her artistic mind and stating academics weren't her thing. Dad appeared uneasy with the disparity, but he never said anything about it. I hadn't studied enough for my midterm examinations, so I had to retake them. I completed the retests in August and then began my summer break. During the long break, I intend to work as many jobs as possible in order to earn the most money feasible. After the summer break, I intend to devote more time to my studies. Thus, I will cut the number of job shifts. This implies I need to save even more money, so I will reduce my living expenditures. I plan to save money on meals by consuming instant noodles, bread, and discounted pre-made meals. To save money on transportation, I ride my bike wherever I go. I grew up in a wealthy home, so I had never had to worry about money before. I never anticipated to live in such poverty after migrating. Despite the fact that I was quite busy, I managed to communicate with a college friend via text message. I occasionally checked my sister's Instagram. Her account was filled with photos of trendy Paris cafes, fashion shows, and weekend trips to Monaco and Milan. Each photo appeared to highlight a fresh designer clothing or accessory. I tried not to be bitter, but it was difficult to see her living so lavishly while I was saving pennies for ramen noodles. One post in particular stung. It featured Isolde at a rooftop party overlooking the Eiffel Tower, wearing what she described as a new Dior dress. The caption said, "Mom always knows exactly what I need. What a blessed wash life. Guan Paris." I stared at the message for a long time, wondering how my parents could afford to send her fancy items when they said they didn't have any money. Seeing their cheerful images made me sad, as I realized how varied life can be for students at the same university. My friends frequently invited me out, but I had to reject since I lacked the funds and time. "I'll drive, let's go somewhere cheap." One of my classmates texted me, "Nah, I'm working every day. Plus, I'm heading back home for the holiday season, so I won't be around." I told him, "Are you sure you're okay? You always seem tired at school and I think you're working too much." My friend expressed concern. "I've got the physical stamina and I need to earn my living expenses. Let's meet up once school starts again," I told him. With that, I went to the bar where I work, but then something happened. I collapsed throughout my shift. It was a busy Friday with many customers and orders, and I felt dizzy while carrying drinks. The room spun, and the tray of beverages I was carrying felt impossibly heavy. The last thing I remember doing was reaching for the edge of the bar to steady myself. I don't remember much after that. When I awoke, I was in a hospital. The doctor informed me that I collapsed due to tiredness and starvation. I received intravenous fluids and was able to go home the following day. I quickly contacted my supervisor at the bar to apologize. My supervisor informed me that once I fainted, he called my name, but I was too out of it to answer, so he immediately phoned an ambulance. He'd also contacted my folks. "You've been taking a lot of shifts and I relied too much on that." "Sorry about that. I want you to rest easy for the rest of the month," says my manager. That meant a reduction in my income. Riding the metro home from the hospital, I considered if I should take on more tutoring jobs. I felt lost. I was scheduled to work at the bar the next day, but I now got the day off. I chose to stay in bed and recuperate. Checking my phone, I discovered a message from a friend that I had missed while unconscious. I replied and explained why I had not responded before. After learning about my condition, my friend agreed to visit. He went grocery shopping and prepared pasta for me. While enjoying the dinner he had kindly made, we discussed the costs of living alone. My friend was startled when I revealed that I didn't receive any financial support from home. "That's why you've been working so hard. Your dad's a doctor. You should be getting some help." I asked Mom, and she said they're barely managing with just my tuition. "Really? But you're not an only child, right? You have a sister in Paris. How is she able to afford to study abroad if money is so tight?" I paused thinking about this for the first time. "I don't know. Mom always handled Isolde's expenses separately. Said she had a special arrangement for her." "No way. That doesn't make sense. I hate to say this, but maybe there's something going on that you don't know about," my buddy said. I started thinking about it. My father is a doctor and used to drive a nice car. Our house is in an elite neighborhood, and I've always attended private schools. So why would Mom suddenly declare they don't have any money for me, yet appears to be living like a princess in Paris? Something did not add up. I remembered a conversation my parents had years ago. Dad had questioned Mom about why my summer camp was canceled, but Isolde was assigned to an expensive art program in Europe. Mom had mentioned investing in her oldest future, as well as the fact that I was more practical and would want to stay at home. Dad appeared frustrated, but eventually gave in as he always did when it came to Mom's decisions about us kids. I grew worried. I quickly texted my mother. "Are you both okay?" She responded after a while. "We're fine." But I couldn't relax that night. Curiosity got the best of me. I called Isolde personally, which I rarely did, because we were not very close. "Kale, what's wrong?" "You never call," she said, clearly astonished. "Just checking in. How's Paris treating you?" "Amazing as always. Mom just sent me the cutest Chanel bag for my birthday next month. She's always so thoughtful with her gifts." My stomach sank. "Oh, that's nice. Hey, I was wondering how you are managing financially over there. Paris must be expensive." "Oh, I don't worry about that stuff. Mom transfers me about $3,000 a month for expenses plus extra whenever I need something special. You know how she is with me." I felt as if I had been punched. $3,000 every month when I was told there wasn't a single dollar left over for me. I hurriedly ended the call, citing a need to study. I assumed they were merely claiming they didn't have any money to keep me from worrying or to teach me something about independence. Since I was going home for the holidays, I decided to discuss this with my parents in person. After thanking my friend, he said, "I'll be waiting for some souvenirs." I was grateful to have such a friend. The holiday season arrived and I booked the cheapest flight back home I could find. I could only stay for one night and one day due to my work, but I was looking forward to it. When I arrived, my folks met me at the door. My father looked astonished when he saw me. "You've lost a lot of weight, really," he said. I hadn't realized it, but I appeared to have changed significantly. My mother was also taken aback and became silent. My mother had cooked chicken wings, salad, and soup for lunch. For the first time in a long time, the three of us gathered to lunch together. As soon as we sat down, my father looked concerned and asked, "You look thinner. Are you eating properly?" I told him the truth. "Not really. It's been a while since I had such a luxurious meal." "What do you usually eat?" my father said. "Instant noodles, bread, and sometimes discounted pre-packed meals." "What about the cafeteria food?" he inquired. "The cafeteria is too expensive for me." "Is it that expensive?" he asked. "It's around $5, I said. My father seemed surprised when he heard that. "Is the money I've been sending enough for you?" I was confused and responded, "I haven't been getting any money?" My father was surprised. "What do you mean? So you haven't received any money for the past 4 months? I haven't received any. Have you really been sending money? I had asked your mom to transfer $2,000 every month into your account. Really, I was astonished. Mom told me that your finances were tight and that she couldn't afford to send any money. Dad seemed perplexed. We have enough money. What's happening? Dad quickly asked. Mom, Paisley, have you been sending money to Kale like you're supposed to? Mom looked down and said nothing. I began to worry. Maybe Dad got sick and couldn't work, so that's why I wasn't getting any money. No, I've been working as usual, Dad replied. That's good to hear, I answered, feeling slightly better. But then why didn't I get any money? I was so confused. And how is Isolde affording to live in Paris if money is so tight? What do you mean? What about Isolde? Dad was even more perplexed now. What's going on? Dad inquired again. Mom remained silent and refused to look at us. Please don't be quiet. Could you explain? Dad begged again. Finally, Mom said softly, I haven't sent any money to Kale. What? You haven't sent any money to Kale. She admitted it. My father and I were both astonished. What? Why not? Dad inquired, astonished. There are just too many things we need to pay for, Mom said. Isn't our home loan already paid off? Dad insisted. Mom realized she couldn't hide it any longer and confessed. I've been keeping the money for Isolde. I was shocked. What do you mean for Isolde? She needs it more than you do, Mom explained quietly. She's studying fashion in Paris. It's expensive. She needs to look the part, make connections. I asked for some money, even a little, but you said you couldn't afford it while you were sending Isolde $3,000 a month. Mom's head snapped up. How do you know how much I sent her? There was a call from Kale's work recently saying you collapsed from overwork, he said, and I noticed today how much weight you've lost. What Kale collapsed? What happened? It appeared like my father had never heard of this before. I responded, yeah, but it wasn't serious. Huh? Why didn't you tell me? Dad asked Mom, his voice rising. I'm sorry. I was scared you'd find out I wasn't sending the money, my mother said. Wait, let me understand this. Dad responded, his voice tense with wrath. You've been withholding Kale's allowance, letting him struggle to the point of collapse while secretly sending extra money to Isolde. For what, shopping sprees in Paris? It's not like that, Mom objected. Isolde has potential. She needs to maintain a certain image. You don't understand the fashion world. And Kale doesn't have potential, Dad asked incredulously. He's studying medicine. He's following in my footsteps. That's exactly it, Mom replied. He's exactly like you. He'll be fine. He doesn't need help. Issa is special. She's delicate. She needs support. I couldn't believe what I heard. I had suspected partiality all my life, but hearing it expressed so harshly was like a stab to my heart. How much have you been giving her? Dad said, his voice dangerously low. Mom hesitated. $3,000 a month for living expenses, and maybe a little extra sometimes. How much extra? Dad asked. I don't know. Maybe another $2,000 or $3,000 some months for networking events, proper clothes, accessories. Dad's face had turned pale. So you've been diverting $5,000 or $6,000 a month to Isolde while Kale has been starving himself and working to the point of collapse. When you put it that way, it sounds bad, Mom replied defensively. But Isolde is building her career. She needs these things. And what has she been buying with all this money? Said my dad. Just things she needs, Mom said blankly. Like the Chanel bag you just bought her for her birthday next month, I said softly. Mom glanced at me with surprise. How did you? I called her. She told me everything. How you always make sure she has what she needs, how you send her extra whenever she wants something special. This is unbelievable, Dad remarked, shaking his head. Kale had to work until he collapsed because he didn't have any money, while his sister is parading around Paris with designer bags. Isolde has always been special, Mom remarked, raising her chin defensively. She needs more support. No, Dad replied forcefully. What she needs is a reality check, and so do you. He turned to face me. Kale, I'm so sorry. I had no idea this was happening. I thought you were receiving your allowance all along. It's okay, Dad. No, it's not okay, he interjected. None of this is okay. He turned back to face Mom. Paisley, from now on, I'll handle all the finances. I'll send money directly to Kale's account, and we're going to have a serious talk about Isolde's expenses. You can't do that, Mom insisted. What Isolde needs is to learn the value of money. Dad interrupted her. She's 21 years old, living like a celebrity on our dime, while her brother nearly works himself to death. It stops now. The remainder of lunch was strained and somewhat silent. I picked at my dinner, suddenly not hungry after being famished moments before. Mom patted her eyes with her handkerchief, occasionally playing the victim, while Dad sat rigid with rage, his jaw clenched so tightly that I could see a muscle twitching in his face. I went back to my room, overwhelmed by everything that had happened. I could hear my parents bickering downstairs, their voices occasionally rising before settling into tense murmurs. I laid on my bed, staring at the ceiling of my childhood room, reflecting on all the years of subtle favoritism. Isolde received a car for her 16th birthday, whereas I was told I could save up for one. Her artwork was framed and widely exhibited throughout the house, whereas my academic achievements were considered as routine and ordinary. That summer, I wanted to go to a science camp, but was informed it was too expensive, only to discover later that Isolde had been sent to a month-long art program in Italy that same summer. Everything made obvious now. The pattern had always been present, but I had never realized how deep it ran. The financial discrepancy was only the most recent and dramatic manifestation of Mom's lifelong preference. Later that evening, Dad knocked at my door. "Can I come in?" I nodded, and he sat firmly on the edge of my bed. "I want you to know how sorry I am," he told me. "I had no idea your mother was doing this. I thought you were getting your allowance, and I thought Isolde was on a much more modest budget. It's not your fault, Dad. It is, though. I should have been more involved in the finances. I trusted your mother to handle things fairly, and I was too busy with work to pay attention." He sighed heavily. "I've already called Isolde. She was upset when I told her there would be changes." "What kind of changes?" I inquired. "Her allowance is being reduced to $1,000 a month, the same amount you'll be getting from now on. Anything beyond that, she'll need to earn herself." "She's not going to like that," I murmured, reflecting on my sister's lifestyle. "No, she's not. But it's long overdue," he said hesitantly. "There's something else you should know. Your mother, she hasn't just been favoring Isolde with money. She's been putting money aside for her future too. Money that was supposed to be split between both of you." "What do you mean?" "We have a family trust that's supposed to be divided equally between you and your sister when you both turn 25. Your mother has been diverting funds from it to set up a separate account in Isolde's name." I felt nauseous. How much? About $300,000 so far. I couldn't even understand the number. It was more money than I had imagined. I frozen that account and initiated the process to return those funds to the family trust. My dad said, "It will take some legal work, but it's the right thing to do." He ran his fingers through his graying hair and appeared older than I'd ever seen him. "I keep thinking about how you collapsed at work, how you've been struggling all this time, while I thought you were fine, while your mother let me believe you were fine." "I didn't want to worry you," I explained. "That's not your job, son. My job is to worry about you, to take care of you." His voice cracked slightly, and I failed at that. "You didn't know, Dad. I should have known. I should have asked more questions, been more involved." He straightened his shoulders. "But that changes now. From now on, I'm going to be much more present in your life and Isolde's, and I'm going to make sure things are fair between you two." That night, Isolde called me furious. "What did you say to Dad?" she questioned without explanation. "The truth," I answered simply. "That I've been working multiple jobs and still can barely afford to eat, while you've been getting thousands of dollars a month." "That's different," she exclaimed. "I need that money. Do you have any idea how expensive it is to live in Paris to dress appropriately for fashion school? Do you have any idea what it's like to collapse from exhaustion because you're working so many jobs, you don't have time to eat or sleep properly?" There was a pause. "Is that really what happened?" "Yes, Isolde, that's really what happened. While you were buying Chanel bags, I was working 60-hour weeks on top of medical school and living on ramen noodles." Another prolonged delay. I didn't know. "Would it have mattered if you did?" She did not respond to that. Instead, she said, "What am I supposed to do now? Dad says I'm only getting $1,000 a month from now on. I can't live on that." "Welcome to the real world," I remarked without showing pity. "Get a job like I did." "A job? I'm studying fashion design. I don't have time for a job, and I'm in medical school. Somehow I manage." She hung up on me. The next morning, tensions in the house reached an all-time high. Mom scarcely spoke and moved around the kitchen like a ghost. Dad kept attempting to engage me in conversation as if making up for missed time. "Your mother and I have been talking," he said finally. "We need to make some changes." "What kind of changes?" I inquired, peering at Mom, who was staring intently into her coffee cup. For one thing, I'm taking control of the family finances, Dad stated firmly, and I'm going to be much more involved in both your lives from now on. Mom looked up. I still think you're being too harsh on Isolde. She needs what she needs. My dad said is to learn the same lessons Kale has had to learn the hard way. Independence, responsibility, the value of hard work. She's different, Mom insisted. She's more sensitive. No, Dad replied forcefully. She's not different. She's just been treated differently by you. Mom went silent again. There's something else we need to discuss, Dad said, returning my gaze. Your mother and I were having problems. My heart fell. What kind of problems? This situation with the money, it brought to light some deeper issues. Your mother's favoritism toward Isolde has been going on for years, and I've allowed it. I didn't realize how extreme it had become. What are you saying? I inquired, even though I already knew. We're going to try counseling, Dad explained. But I want to be honest with you. I'm not sure our marriage can recover from this. The trust is broken. Mom looked up, her eyes becoming angry. You're blaming me for all of this. For wanting to give our daughter the best chance at success. I'm blaming you for lying to me, for stealing from our son, and for potentially emptying our retirement accounts to fund our daughter's shopping addiction, Dad said evenly. Yes. I traveled back to New York the next day, my brain reeling from what had happened. Dad had placed $5,000 back into my account to pay for the allowance I should have received, and he promised to make regular monthly contributions from now on. Focus on your studies, he advised me at the airport. That's what's important now. When I returned to my flat, I went grocery shopping right away. Real groceries include fresh vegetables, meat, and fruits. I had not been able to purchase these foods in months. I made myself a good meal and sat down to eat it, savoring every bite. It was so simple, but it felt luxurious. With the financial strain relieved, I was able to reduce my work hours. I retained the teaching job since I enjoyed it, but I cut my bar shifts to only weekends and quit event staffing altogether. Suddenly, I had time to study, sleep, and care for myself. My grades started to improve almost immediately. Over the next few months, I observed from a distance as my family dynamics changed radically. Dad left the house and moved into a nearby apartment. Faced with a dramatically decreased budget, Isolde vowed to drop out of fashion school and return back home in protest. Despite having neither parent's finances, she unexpectedly rose to the challenge. She got a part-time work at a tiny store in Paris and began living within her means. It's actually not that bad, she acknowledged to me during one of our now regular phone talks. My boss is teaching me a lot about the business side of fashion, and I kind of like earning my own money. Mom suffered the hardest with the adjustments. She ignored Dad's financial constraints and continued to send Isolde extra money in secret. When Dad discovered this, it was the last straw. He has filed for divorce. The proceedings were messy. Mom disputed the divorce and attempted to claim half of Dad's assets and future income. But when Dad's lawyer provided evidence of her financial malfeasance, including diverting family funds, emptying joint accounts to send money to Isolde, and continuously lying about it, the judge was unimpressed. The final settlement overwhelmingly benefited Dad. During this time, I focused on regaining my health and academic standing. With good nourishment and relaxation, I regained the weight I had lost and felt my energy returning. My teachers noticed an increase in my work, and I was able to join the Pre-Med Student Association, which I had previously overlooked due to my busy schedule. Isolde and I started talking more regularly. Our chats were difficult at first as we both struggled to manage our new relationship without Mom's favoritism causing a hole between us. But gradually, we discovered common ground. She told me about her position at the boutique, the customers she had met, and her designs. I informed her about my coursework, my growing group of friends, and my future goals. I never realized how much Mom's favoritism affected you, she told me during one of our calls. I guess I just accepted it as normal. It felt good to be the special one. And I accepted being the overlooked one, I told her. It's what we knew. I'm sorry, Kale. I should have seen it. We were both kids. It wasn't our responsibility to see it. 1 year later, I am doing well in medical school. With the financial pressure gone, I've been able to reduce my job hours and concentrate on my academics. My grades have improved, and I've joined a few clubs making new acquaintances. Dad has settled into his new life as a bachelor and appears happier than I have seen him in years. He comes to see me in New York every few months, and we've become closer than ever before. During his last visit, we talked for hours about his medical career, my studies, and our mutual love of science. When I was growing up, there never seemed to be enough time for conversations. I always knew you had the makings of a great doctor, I was told. But I'm even more proud of the person you're becoming. Isolde has undergone arguably the most unexpected shift. After first resenting the financial constraints, she has embraced her independence. She's still in fashion school, but she also works at the boutique, which has served as a good apprenticeship. She is currently designing her own little line, learning how to produce lovely things on a budget. We communicate frequently, and for the first time, I feel as if I have a genuine relationship with my sister. My professor said, "My new designs show maturity and practicality that was missing before." She proudly told me during one of our video sessions. He says, "Constraints can be a designer's best friend. They force you to be creative in ways unlimited resources never would." Who knew budget limitations could be a good thing? It made me giggle. "Certainly not the old me," she said, "but I think I like the new me better." Mom has had the most difficult adjustment. The divorce left her with less than she planned, and she has had to relocate from our family home to a small condominium. She's still trying to accept her new reality and accuses Dad and me of turning Isolde against her. She started working part-time at a local department store, her first job in more than 20 years. And while she continually complains about it, I believe the structure and social interaction are beneficial to her. Her relationship with both of us is tense. She occasionally calls me, but our discussions are brief and perfunctory. She's still attempting to maintain the previous relationship with Isolde, proposing to send her money she doesn't have and suggesting Isolde return home so Mom can care for her. Isolde has learned to keep her limits in a gentle yet firm manner. During one of our video chats last week, Isolde showed me some of her most recent designs, which were lovely minimalist items that appeared costly but were made of low-cost materials. "I never would have learned to do this if I still had unlimited funds," she told me. "Constraints breed creativity, I guess. You're really good at this," I told her, sincerely impressed. She smiled. "Thanks. And you're going to be a great doctor someday." She paused. "I'm sorry about before, about not seeing what was happening to you." "It wasn't your fault," I replied. "We were both caught in Mom's weird dynamics. Still, I should have noticed." She paused. "Are you going home for Christmas?" "To Dad's, yes. You, yes. And I thought maybe we could visit Mom together. She's having a hard time." I pondered it. Despite everything, she remained our mother. "Okay," I agreed. "We'll go together." In the 2 years since that fatal holiday dinner where the truth was revealed, our family has been entirely remade. The changes haven't been easy, but I believe they were necessary. Dad is happier and more involved as a parent. Isolde has discovered her inner strength and inventiveness. I found my footing in medical school and I'm excelling intellectually and socially. Mom is still adjusting. Perhaps she always will be. However, our family's connections are now built on honesty rather than manipulation and favoritism. Family relationships can be complicated and healing takes time. But as I've discovered, honesty, no matter how painful, is the first step towards something healthier. The truth about my mother's favoritism almost destroyed our family. But in its wake, we're creating something new, based on respect, justice, and genuine love, rather than manipulation and preferential treatment. It isn't perfect and never will be, but it is real. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm being recognized for who I am. Not just as the less favored child, but as Kale. I'm a medical student, a son, a brother, a person deserving of support and affection, just as I am. 3 years later. I never anticipated things to alter so dramatically. I am currently in my 4th year of medical school, near the top of my class, and preparing for residency interviews. Dad has been my support throughout, calling weekly to check in and flying to New York for each major milestone. Last month, Isolde astonished everyone by launching her own independent fashion line in Paris. What startled me the most was seeing Dad sitting in the first row of the presentation, grinning with pride. After years of being Mom's project, she and Dad have established their own relationship. Her simple, functional, yet exquisite designs have caught the attention of various stores. She is making it on her own terms without the support of her family. As for Mom, the trip has not been easy. The divorce humbled her in ways neither of us imagined. Something changed last year when her department store elevated her to assistant manager. She called me one night sobbing. "I'm proud of you, Kale," she said. Words I'd waited my entire life to hear from her. I was wrong. So wrong. Our relationship is still complicated, but we're working on it. She is currently in treatment trying to figure out why she had such strong feelings for Isolde. Apparently, it derives from her youth as the overlooked sibling. She is finally learning to see both of her children clearly. The most unexpected event occurred 6 months ago when Dad met Marin, a pediatric nurse, at his hospital. It's been wonderful to see him fall in love again at the age of 52. When he called to say he was proposing, I was overjoyed for him. This will be our first Christmas together as a family with Dad and Marin. Isolde is traveling in from Paris. Mom, yes, she is invited and myself. It will not be ideal. Family never is. But it will be honest. Sometimes I think of the collapse that started it all. How something so horrible helped to heal our family's deep scars. I would never wish that experience on anyone, but I don't regret where it took us. Sometimes you have to fully disassemble something before you can reconstruct it.